Hello, and welcome back to my Ratropolis Guide series. This is episode 6, 7, depending on how you look at it in this series. This is the final episode. This is going to be an abridged version of the 2-hour and 45-minute Nightmare Mode clear that I just slapped up on YouTube, hopefully at the same time as this video. So what I have here is I took the 2-hour and 45-minute video. I cut out 10 minutes of clips that I think demonstrate the most crucial parts of the strategy that I use to clear Nightmare Mode. This is the strategy that I use every time when I want to clear Nightmare Mode. I think that it will work every time if you follow this. Well, I should note, I don't know how this works on the coast, because I never play Nightmare Mode on the coast, because I don't like the coast. But maybe in the future I'll try that out. Yeah, so this is supposed to be the abridged version. I'm going to get right into it here and hopefully keep this video a little shorter. So first off the bat here is just, I always take 500% damage on skill and building cards. It's very crucial to the plan. Second up is just using Specialize to generate yourself buildings. You're going to use this to generate your perfect colony. This is how I build out 100 public baths and granaries and exactly what I want. So just very quick notes. You want to use Specialize, play 2 of whatever building you're using, use steel. Oh man, I just realized I don't do this with public baths because I duplicate all my public baths. Wow, I could do that a lot easier. Man, if you watch the full VOD of this, you're gonna be like, what is this guy talking about? That's a mistake. This is just showing 2 ways to give yourself card selection. You can either do reuse labor command steal on repeat, which is fine. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. That's option 1, but then option 2 is you want to drop a few experiments. This, I would only recommend doing it in the second way here if you have experiments to lessen the amount of economic blow you're going to take, because every reuse right now costs you 8. So you're going to go reuse on Specialize, and then you're going to just play out as many reuses as it gives you. This will give you 3, 4 reuses. Don't do as many as it gives you, actually, that's wrong. You only want to do 4. After 4, it comes too expensive. The 5th reuse, especially in this case if you don't have capped gold, will bankrupt you, because the experiments are going to run out. But this will give you, you can see how fast the timer fills up there, as much card selection as you want. I use this on the lab to find a specific card I need for the deck. In this case, it's Demolition. Or you use this on market to find specific cards you need. Up next, this is just using Demolition. Very, very simple. Use Demolition to reshape your colony how you want it. You can either remove the ephemeral cards with the monastery, or you can redraw if that won't mess you up. For example, the other thing I'm showing here is that if you mess up your infinite, you can mine back steel to fix it. So just draw 3 with steel and then mine it back. It's something that I never did in the past, but I would highly recommend doing now. Just use mine. I would keep a mine. I think the 2 space is worth it. But as was pointed out to me, you don't even need steel in this deck. You could use a Specialize, actually. Like, you could just use Specialize. You just have to make sure that you keep using the Specialize over and over, right? So you have to specialize your own Specialize. It's messy. Like, I don't fully understand how to do it. That clip was just more city building. And you can see here, you more or less see the city mostly finished. And then this is just going to show you that reuse labor command steal will clear most of the waves. As you can see, reuse labor command steal plus an upgraded watchtower with the bonus to defensive building and scale damage will hold down waves 40 or 30 through 60 pretty well. And then this is the economic plan, because you may have noticed that I don't have many economic cards in this deck. It's just experiments, but experiments is only to lessen the amount of money we spend. I have a farm here, and using Demolish plus the tavern, I granted myself 6 granaries, which are enough to give you capped gold very quickly, as you can see. This is how to get your units capped with arm. So you have to steal, reuse on specialize, right? And this is just going to be me explaining the order that I'm playing the cards in. I'll pause it after this and I'll explain the reasoning. But essentially, it's very simple. You use steal first because if you play your cards fast enough after a steal, you can pause here. This is the most important thing to talk about here. If you steal, you can steal first and still play cards before the draw animation plays. So you use this to steal and then play specialize, or reuse specialize in this case without wasting one of your specializes on steal. Then once you redraw, you just reuse, play in experiments first. I've been messing around with the ordering here and mixing in experiments to lessen the amount of money it costs. I think that experiments as your first card you specialize, and then play as many reuses as it gives you, like use up all the specializes. Then experiments at the end is the best way to do this. If you watch the full VOD, I try this a bunch of different ways, and I think that this is the best way to do it, the first way I do it. You play this experiments at the end of the cycle. It doesn't eat up any of your extras. You'll know you did well because the game starts to lag when you drag out your card. You arm, and that guy went from, he was around 200 health to 10,000 health and 2200 attack. Then you use the extra specialize you created on your steal to get yourself back to the number of cards. And then this is just, the next part is just reuse labor commanding to recap my money to show you that you can do it. It's very fast, like you can see in the like 10 seconds I just skipped there. We're back to gold cap. And oh yeah, and then this is just me messing up so immediately afterwards because I bought a card and then stole and didn't draw steal. So there's two things to note here. One is that you the rally is the main thing to note. Actually, you can just rally back if you mess up like that. These units are already actually 10k, 10k. So I pick up a rally in this build because I'm prone to making many minor mistakes, and rally lets you jump, like not lose all of the progress of arm. Basically, once you cap a unit's health and attack and play enough of them, you can just remove the arm because you'll never need to do it again. And then here is just, you don't need to play as many reuses as is in the first one. As you could see in the arm clip, you need to play a lot of reuses. However, capping your walls only takes 4 reuses. Not 4, but you want to do 4 reuses 3 times instead of doing 5 reuses, because 5 reuses, as I will show you momentarily, runs you out of money. You immediately, it runs you out of money. Whereas this way, it only costs you about 5,000. Maybe, I guess I cut the clip of, no, I didn't. This is the clip. If you play all of your reuses, this is 2, this is, okay, or not. I really have no idea what I'm doing. I thought I had a clip. I'm almost certain I have a clip of me wrecking my own economy. It is this clip, I just wait until afterwards, don't I? Again, I mess up the infinite, but it doesn't matter because we have rally. Just grab a longsword back. Here it is. You see, this is if you play 5 reuses on a reinforce, you'll drop yourself to 10 gold, as you saw in the upper left. But then, you know, even in that emergency, this is why I like using the farm over economic cards. If you mess up and drop yourself to 10 gold with this, and your plan is purely playing economic cards become expensive with the increased cost of cards. And you can just leave your farm ready to go, right? So you just leave the farm, it gives you 1,600 gold, and then you just reuse labor command steal and spam click it. This take is a little more me just rambling, but I'm trying to keep this video shorter. I'm gonna pause here and we're gonna talk a little bit. I'm just gonna give you, this is gonna be a little recap because the next few clips are just endgame stuff, right? A majority of Nightmare Mode, in my opinion, takes place in waves 30 through 60. If you accomplish all of the goals that you need to set yourself from before wave 60, you will probably be able to clear Nightmare Mode. So what are those goals? Let's talk about it. For me, in this run, it's to stat cap a unit card. I'm using Longsword in this case. You can use any unit. After watching this footage back, I think the best unit to use would probably actually be guards because they're ranged, which is going to stop the problem that we're about to see. and they attack very fast. Like, guards or militia are probably actually the best unit to stat cap, but, you know, I use longsword here. It doesn't really matter. You can win with anyone. It just changes how... Like, it just changes a little bit of what you need to prioritize, I think. Let's talk about your goals. There should be 3 goals if you're going to follow this build. 1, you need to stat cap a unit. You need to use the specialize, reuse, steal combo that I showed earlier to cap out a unit's stats. 2 is you need to shape your city. You need to use demolition to remove all of the buildings that don't do anything for you, i.e. like tanneries that you threw down because you got them, houses, things like that. Any of those buildings that they no longer serve their purpose. And you need to replace those with, if you're following my guide, I use 1 farm, 1 tavern, 1 monastery, 1 market, a mine, and 6 granaries, 8 watchtowers, 4 on either side, but you could cut this down to 4, probably just 2 on either side, and then squeeze in 2 extra granaries. And then every other space that you fill up with public baths. There's 8 spaces between each set of walls. Public baths take up 4 spaces. You can fit 2 baths between each wall. I am kicking myself because I didn't get a shot of what the final colony looked like before I removed all the public baths. Because after wave like 55, I was set. I finished my goals. I picked up another demolish, and I removed all the public baths. The third goal that you need to set is you need to have, I guess this is a goal that should have come first, but you need to have a way to give yourself card selection. You need to have a lab plus reuse labor command steal if you're going to do this, because as you can see I'm using a lot of skills, or you need to have a market with that combo or just with work, things like that. But I don't know if I mentioned in the building setup, but you also need a warren. And then the way that I go about it is just, and eventually your buildings are going to break. Just make sure that up until they're breaking, you keep yourself gold capped and population capped. And then depending on the unit you use, I imagine legendary units may actually give you some trouble. You will need to coast on the population and gold cap to have just enough money to slide into wave 120. I'm going to play this here. We're going to show off a little problem. I'm going to speed it up a little bit though, because I want to just show off this problem. This is wave 110. This is the big Weasel King, and he breaks my wall. Now, this isn't a problem. All that happens, I cut here. All that happens is I cut out 30 seconds of rats walking away from walls. That's all it is. You can try to hit the wall repair, but you have to make sure you have a unit ready to go to fight them. Eventually what will happen is they'll either reach the final wall, and they break this final wall, and then your units won't run anymore, and they'll just fight. Because these units will tank forever. These guys are doing 180 damage per attack. These guys have 10,000 health, and there's 30 of them. Or what happens here is eventually your dudes turn around and fight far enough away that they'll tank instead of the wall. And like, even though it looks bad, there was never really a risk, but this is a reason that you want to add in repair if you see one. Or just reinforce 2 walls. The other option is to just reinforce 2 walls. Also, we had this guy just kind of sit over here and hit nothing. And then this is just the final wave. I cut this one down quite enough. But just to prove that I did in fact win this run, if you didn't want to watch the whole video, you can see here. Threw out a few vampirisms to see how big of a heal number we could see. Our longsword boys did not have much trouble. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to keep that there. And you can see they cleared both sides. And if you look at the gold and the population, I had 113 population left, so it wasn't really that big of a deal, right? 26 is overkill. You could probably hold this down with like 2 as long as you have a lifesteal. The main problem is that you'll run out of money. I just withdrew because I have no interest in playing this any further. But yeah, there's definitely better economic plans because eventually you will run out of money. However, I have no interest in going beyond wave 120, and as long as you keep your gold capped up until you start to take building losses, you will have enough money to coast right on in very comfortably with a cool 3,000 left over, cruise into the finish line of Nightmare Mode. And that's it. This is obviously I wanna state this isn't the only way to beat nightmare mode. I'm sure there's a few other ways. However, this is the way that I devised. This is the way that I was able to do it for my very first attempt, or like my very first clear of nightmare mode. And nightmare mode doesn't really open itself up to experimentation. You kind of find one way to beat it and you cling to it, because otherwise you're going to waste like 3 hours of your life on a run that falls apart. You can be extremely safe on... I'm gonna hit you with a few words of wisdom here, and then I'm gonna close out the video. You can be very safe if you don't remove public baths. I remove all my public baths at wave 55, and that keeps the run timer down to about 2.5 to 3 hours. However, you could make this run 5 to 6 hours and just keep all your public baths up and keep up repairing them. That would drive me insane. 2, the reason that I really think this build works is because of the infinite card selection. All you need to make it work is an early steal and work, which are common and rare cards respectively, which should not be too hard to find. And then you need a market, which is also common. And you also need, I guess you also need to keep your deck size below 6 or get the silent or other ways to draw extra cards. There's a lot of ways around it. You can mess around with it, grab assistance. There's a lot of ways. And with those, as long as you then steal infinite on your work and you get infinite card selection, I have had it as early as wave like 5, I think. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this guide series. It's been a learning process for me on video making. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this helpful and learned something. If you did enjoy, leave me a like, drop me a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love to hear some positive comments, or even just if you have opinions on how to clear nightmare mode other than this, feel free. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm going to be transitioning this into a daily wave 30 run, not necessarily clear, but run episodic sort of thing, like little 30-minute let's play videos. And hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.